It's Deb from Deb Web Art, and I wanted to pop in before Christmas just to ask you, how are you doing? You know, Christmas is a loaded time for a lot of people. It is a time when there's a lot of joy, but there can also be a huge amount of heartache. Heartache, grief, a lot of sorrow, all those things. And there's always going to be someone who feels alone at Christmas. It might be that they are physically alone, but they might also be feeling alone, even though they're surrounded by a whole lot of people. So it's a really emotional time. So I'd really like to just pop in with an art technique. And I thought I would use watercolor, and the reason being because most people have got some form of watercolor with them. Not everybody has acrylics, but most people have dabbled or have bought a little watercolor pad, the little watercolor things, a few brushes, So if you've got something like that lying around, you might want to try this technique. I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of making it up as I go along, but that's just the intuitive side of me. I have an idea, and I think it would be quite therapeutic to go through the idea. And this is just my own words of wisdom. What happened was, years ago when we changed countries, we moved from South Africa to Australia. We had to make up our own traditions because now we no longer had the extended family. So I thought, well, as opposed to dwelling on that and thinking bad things or feeling terribly sad, which naturally you're going to do during the day, that's fine, you're allowed. Any emotions that come up must come up, but what we're trying to do is not sit in that emotion and live in it for many days. Okay, so that's where I'm going with this. So for me, I decided to try different traditions, to introduce different ways of doing things. So that would be my advice to you, if you feel that it resonates with you, to try some things that are new. Try some things that you have not done before. Change things. Make a new tradition or a new thing that fills you with a feeling of peace and a feeling of joy. Okay? Now, so for what I offer, this is just me, because obviously my world is art. For me, I would say, if you've got any little watercolors and things like that, just grab some of those and have a play. And the act of doing watercolor, that's why I always kind of drift back to it. The act of doing watercolor is very calming, because it's quite like you watch where the water goes, where the paint goes, and you just see it blending, and it's extremely therapeutic. So that's why I keep moving back to that. So that's my plan today, is just to let's see what we can do, and allow the water and everything to blend. And then the good thing is that watercolor takes time to dry. So in between the drying times, you go off, you make yourself a nice cup of tea or a cuppa or something, and you just sit and you be peaceful. And then later you can come back and carry on. All right, let's see where this goes. Okay, so what I've done is I've just put over here the things that I've got sitting around me, so you can see what I'm using. This was left over from one of my classes, and it's just some watercolors. These ones are called Meramie Bleu. I've got those here. I've got some brushes. I've got a little bit of acrylic gouache, which I quite like. It's a combination between gouache and acrylic. And then I've got these gold metallic-y watercolors, which I do love these. Gorgeous. And then I thought I would just grab some oil pastels, which I really like as well, to see maybe I might want to do something over the watercolor after. And then also using a spray bottle, the reason being because you can let the watercolors dry out, and so like this one, and then you can activate just by spraying that on, and then the watercolors become available again. Okay, so let's get started. So what I've done is I've just divided up a piece of paper into the 4 quadrants. I like working like this because you can kind of just bounce around from one to the other, and it makes it a little bit fun.
And unfortunately, I just needed to move the camera. Sorry about that. And just doing some blobs, really. Just there isn't much rhyme or reason to that. All I'm doing is I'm trying to make it so that they kind of blend into each other. So just adding little drops of water. The secret to having fun with watercolors is literally water. So wherever you think, oh, it's not blending, just add little blops of water. Okay. I'm using one of my favorite brushes, which is not a cheap brush, but it's honestly so much fun. It's called the Mop Brush made by Neef, and it's just lovely. So anyway, by doing this sort of watercolor, you literally just, when you've got a certain amount of colors, you don't have to think of the colors even. You just put them on and keep moving, and you allow the it to all blend together, and that's what I love about this. And then I just went up with some dark just to kind of, you know, add a few little dots and see how it spread with the colors, because watercolor is just so magical. Oh, and there you go, a little impromptu tip. Now I always have a stick with me. There's like a kebab stick, because you can make some really interesting marks, lines. You can do little circular shapes, all sorts of interesting things in any paint that you do. I just find it makes it just that little bit more interesting when you look at the painting. So just doing some marks. It's nothing special. It's just dragging a few things. So I'm not even dipping it in anything. I'm just dragging it through and making it happen. So it's pretty fun. Now, you don't have to allow, like, just let everything be the way it is. You can add some water. You can add some more of the color, like I'm doing here, because maybe, there's parts and you think, I didn't really like that. And then you just add more water and you just change it. It's really pretty satisfying. So that's what it's like up to that point. So then I brought in the gold. Now, I don't normally do this, but actually it was pretty fun. Just a few little blobs of gold, and it just kind of made it feel happy. And there I am now deciding I'm going to do acrylic wash. And now this this section was quite an education in brushes and what brushes to use, because I picked up some brushes that they can be used for both acrylic and watercolor, but I just found that it wasn't helping me. It wasn't as firm as I wanted. And so really throughout this part of the painting, I swapped brushes a fair bit, and because I needed more control. So that's an important thing, just to have more than one brush. And sometimes you'll find that I did some stuff on the background, actually mostly because there was some pencil marks, or there was something on the background, and I was like, oh dear, what am I going to do? So, I'll just put some paint on that. you know, that's the sort of thing you can do, because it's your painting. And once again, this is not necessarily me thinking I've got to make something beautiful and amazing and it's got to be like just perfect. Not at all. It can be whatever you want it to be. Really, I just literally made it up as I went along. Obviously, this is sped up, so don't panic if you don't think of things fast. Go away, take a photo, go look at it while you have a nice cuppa. Just take it slow, and most of all, just just be, because then you're not thinking too much, okay? And so now with this one, I just picked up I have a Pilot pens as well as Posca pens, and that I then would use for all of this. And that to me is just the best amount of fun. It really is. Just making little patterns and designs, and yeah, it just brings it to life. So when you're doing this, it really does help to still your mind. You just let yourself go and you just create, and you don't think of anything. It's very liberating. It's like, I don't know, I guess it's like meditation. So if you found it very difficult to meditate in the past, well, this might be your thing. Okay, so then I cut it up because I took all the sticky off, and this was them, all cut up and I guess ready to have a frame on if I wanted to put it in a frame. The most important thing is that I really enjoyed myself. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed how some of the colours blended. It was very satisfying. So then, naturally, you need to sign your work. It's kind of like proof of ownership. Anyway, let me know how you go with this. I'd love to hear how it goes for you.
I hope you enjoyed that. I think the most important thing about this exercise is not necessarily that it's balanced and it looks beautiful, but just that for that time that you have been creating, you've actually not really been thinking. I actually had silence today when I did this, and I found that to be really relaxing. Some people can't handle it, so you've got to do whatever works for you. Or putting music on that is calming, peaceful, maybe a bit joyful. I just chose silence, and I think it was because then it helped me to go within easier and actually not think. And there is something so healing about that. That's why they advocate meditation to be such a good tool, because it just helps you to step out of your brain for a little bit. And it really is a difficult thing for a lot of people to be able to just stop. So if you have a moment and you have some art supplies with you, you make it up as you go along. You know, you can use ballpoint pens, you can use pencils, you can literally use whatever you like to create something. It doesn't even have to be in the same format. It can just be pieces of paper that you might want to scribble, you might want to write, you might want to just create shapes. Just put a whole lot of shapes on the paper. It really doesn't have to make a lot of sense. The whole idea is that for that time that you are setting to just sit and just do these things, your brain stops thinking of other things, and it literally just allows yourself to rest. And I think that's really important. I hope that this time that over the next few days as you celebrate, that you are able to find some peace, some solitude, that you're able to find some good memories, and most of all, that you look after yourself, because you matter. I will definitely be back next week. We'll chat a little bit about what the new year could bring for you and what maybe you could try to assist you to get your life on track. All right, take care until next time. Bye for now.